Well, thanks for staying with us on the program this morning. Our next conversation is on the unfolding developments in Rivers State, where the suspended governor, Siminalayi Fubara, is rallying his supporters with the promise that Rivers State would emerge stronger despite the prevailing political challenges. Joining us this morning from Port Harcourt is the Executive Director of Advocacy Centre, Dr. Fyneface Dumnamene Fyneface. Doctor, good morning to you and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. Happy New Month. Nice to join you on the program this morning.
Happy New Month to you as well. The last time we spoke was when the sole administrator was appointed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, decision ratified by the National Assembly, and he was on his way to Rivers that morning when we spoke. Now he has assumed office. We've looked at more suspensions with the HOS and other political appointees also having to give way. Although it seems as though there are some appointees who still have to work with him on his familiarization tours of certain NDAs. Let's get your take on this development as it unfolds in Rivers before we look at Governor Siminalayi's statement.
Yeah, generally speaking, what is happening is what we should expect when you have emergency rule in place. All political appointees will be suspended because the emergency rule and the state of emergency declared has also suspended a lot of constitutional and democratic principles and institutions. And when that happens, you don't expect less from a sole administrator. The name says sole administrator. It didn't say he has to bring together too many people for him to run his government. So the suspension of those political appointees and some of the things you are seeing are some of the things that we expected. I must also say that because we are in a democracy and the system currently in place in Rivers State seems to be alien to our system, that is why you see a kind of softness in what the sole administrator is doing. Basically, we are supposed to have more stringent measures in place in Rivers State than what we have now. But because we are in a democracy and the sole administrator and Mr. President is also being cautious and careful, that is why you have some relative methods of doing things not as harsh or difficult as it used to be under a sole administratorship or when you have this kind of emergency in place. So we have some of these things going on, and the sole administrator is also taking steps. And one of the things we also saw of recent was that I think the Rivers State University, where whoever is the governor of Rivers State is the visitor to university, organize a convocation, a matriculation ceremony. And on the entire page where you normally have protocols of officers, the only photograph you see there is that of the sole administrator, because that is what the system puts forward. So that is what we have in place.
Yes, with the activities of the sole administrator following the resumption in office. Now let's talk about the role of the suspended governor in rallying his supporters. I don't know if you heard the statement and the vows stronger despite these political challenges, as against the opinion that it is weakening the political structures in Rivers.
Yeah, to a very large extent, I think the ousted, the suspended governor is not trying to pick his voice. He's not trying to pick himself together. He's not trying to make sure that he reaches out to his supporters and let them hear that he's still okay wherever he is, that they, trying to give them some words of encouragement. I think he has dropped a lot of messages so far. He started, I think the very first time we heard from him was when the chief of staff, ex-head of service, made certain comments, and then he responded saying what he said was a lie. And then we had the comment from him as well yesterday when the Muslim family in Rivers State visited him and stuff like that. So he has started picking his voice and giving some hope to his supporters. But to a very large extent, when this whole crisis started, the governor and the suspended governor was treating and is still treating what is happening with kid gloves. And that is because he tries to recognize the fact that he was brought into office by the FCT minister, doing almost everything like the FCT minister is saying. So he's also trying not to offend him further. He's also trying not to pick a very strong fight with him and trying to make sure he settles peace, whatever may have happened that led to the crisis. But then the person fighting him is not fighting him thinking that they should reconcile any day. He's fighting him to ensure that that opportunity I gave to you, I will take it away from you by removing you as governor. And the suspended governor is still treating it like kid gloves, using kid gloves to treat it. So you have a lot of these things happen, no matter how he tries to assure his supporters. Currently, the state is not under his control. And I don't also know whether in the days ahead we shall be hearing comments from the sole administrator that why would you receive, Muslim communities in Rivers State coming to pay you Salah visit when there is a sitting sole administrator that maybe is trying to,
rival him, because you are insinuating
like that
the Muslim family should have visited the sole administrator and not the suspended governor.
Exactly. So the visit should have been on the sole administrator and not on the suspended governor. And then when the people come to visit him, because I also believe that any religion, anybody can go and visit anybody and call it Easter or Christmas or Salah visit. But when you are making comments from such visit, you should not link it with state
business
actions or state position. Like if you look at his statement, he tries to link it with the fact that as the governor, or linking it to the fact that recognize himself as governor. As it is now, he's not the sitting governor of the state. It's not. We have a sole administrator, so he should have released that statement, lace it in such a way that it becomes a pure personal visit that he had with the people, not to link it with the fact that it will seem as if there are two governors in Rivers State or two administrators in Rivers State or two people are sharing power in Rivers State. He shouldn't have been in that direction. So he should be more careful in the way he makes his comments and try to recognize the fact that whether he accepts it or not, because I believe he has accepted it because he didn't go to court to challenge the appointment of a sole administrator or to challenge his suspension by Mr. President. So he has accepted the sole administrator in the state. So he should try as much as possible not to make the sole administrator or Mr. President, who is the chief administrator of the Rivers State government and administration, to feel that someone somewhere who has been suspended, gazetted, approved by the National Assembly is trying to do things that will seem as if there are two leaders in the state. He should try to make his comments and whatever he's doing to be more personal, especially when he receives a delegation visiting him.
Now many were of the opinion that the suspended governor, Siminalayi Fubara, would have taken heed to the calls to stay in Yenogwa, like was purported when there was the announcement of a sole administrator, up until he made his first public appearance at the Salvation Ministry. I don't know if you subscribe to that school of thought, think that he stayed misconstrued as rivaling the sole administrator.
Yeah, to an extent, a lot of people say that the sole administrator, the governor, was in Bayelsa State, but we couldn't confirm that. Neither has the governor of Bayelsa State also confirmed that the suspended governor was with him. We cannot confirm that. But the visit we saw, the Salah visit we saw, point to the fact that he was in his house, in Port Harcourt. So a lot of these rumors are flying, but then we still have it that the sitting governor, the suspended governor is somewhere that he's fine, and he could receive visitors and then run a kind of shallow government like we are currently seeing. Otherwise, I think the rumor and the information that he was in Bayelsa State is not very true, because from what we saw yesterday, the visit happened in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. And I think that whatever it is, he is fine where he is. And then he has started picking himself together and trying to show that he's still the governor of Rivers State, even if suspended.
Now these hints of running a shallow government can be tantamount to some of the reasons why the sole administrator might be offended. But I don't know if you have also seen the comments made by his chief of staff, Edison Ehi, who is alleging that he received a 500 million, he was tempted with a 5 billion naira bribe to begin the impeachment moves for Fubara.
Yeah, I've seen the statement. I also listened to him on a sister TV station when he claimed that he was given 5 billion to impeach Fubara. But if he's actually standing with Fubara at that time, why didn't he say it? Why is he waiting till now before saying it? And when he also made the allegation of being offered 5 billion naira bribe to impeach Fubara, why didn't he mention the name of the person that gave him the bribe? Why are they still trying to pursue what is currently happening as if they are protecting certain persons, or as if they are trying not to push the fight the way it should go? So I think if they make allegation, they should bring out evidence and facts about whatever allegation they are putting forward. Because some of these things are just hearsay. They are just something that they may concoct to say, so that people will believe that what they are saying is true. But to a very large extent, I think they need to begin to come forward with facts about what they say. and not to just throw information that people will just begin to debate, will begin to talk about it when it's not actually true. They should try as much as possible to bring out the fact. He was pointing his phone in the TV program where he made the claim that he was offered 5 billion naira. He should make the information, screenshot the message and share on social media. Like we also have the message shared of the resigned head of service saying that 500,000 is not 500,000 naira is not enough for him per month or so, and that he has some political supporters that he needs to take care of, that he's having financial issue, leading to the fact that maybe because he was offered some money, allegedly he decided to make some of the confessions that he made. So all of these things are there. Those messages should be screenshot and shared to the public through the social media. We'll see it and try to confirm by confirming the name of the person that have sent it, and also being able to confirm the screenshot from the person that owned the phone. So some of those things can be some of the ways that we can believe some of the things that they are saying. But otherwise, I think all of these are just smoke screen, that there is more to what we are currently seeing.
Now, talking about the smoke screens, in that interview as well, he also disassociated himself with allegations that he orchestrated the bombing of the assembly complex in 2023. I don't know what you still make of the way the Rivers State House of Assembly complex was brought to the ground.
Yeah, basically a lot of those accusations are there. At the time, none of them will want to agree, and it has been a no. I recall sometimes in the past when the former governor, Right Honorable Chibike Rotimi Amechi, was to be impeached, he also took steps to ensure that the assembly was not in the shape it should be, so that they don't have a place to stay to impeach him. So these things happen. But now, who was responsible for the bombing of the assembly? I think it is the police that should investigate that matter and let us to know. The Rivers State House of Assembly complex is directly opposite the Rivers State Police Command. And I will believe that the best of security should be talked about at that particular spot. And Edison Ehie did say that anytime from 6 p.m., the only person that has access to the State Assembly complex is the Speaker. And the Speaker at the time is the Martin Amewule that is still there now. And one will say that Martin Amewule may need to come and clear the air. This is an allegation from Edison Ehie. So I think he needs to come forward and also be able to tell the public his own role, whether or not he is the one that has access to the assembly any moment from 6 p.m., whether or not, as alleged by Edison Ehie, is true. They should come forward and speak. People should begin to come forward and speak, because they are leaving Nigerians in a state of uncertainty, not being able to understand the dynamics of what is happening. And we need to be able to know, because this is a public government that they are using public funds to run. So they should try as much as they can to ensure that what they are doing is what they should be able to do, for the public to know that this is the position of things. Because what we have currently is that a lot of them are not really coming forward to give us facts. The only person that is trying as much as possible to give some facts about what is happening is the FCT minister. Because I remember in one of the interviews he granted, he said the issue in Rivers State was as a result of his structure that was being demolished, that his structure is the reason why he was fighting. And now the structure has been demolished completely by the Supreme Court when the council chairmen were sacked following the judgment that is being implemented. So all of this put together, I think Martin Amewule should be the next person to speak to us in this particular scenario. So do well to invite him. He's the sitting speaker, even if suspended, of the Rivers State House of Assembly. He should come and speak to us. Let us hear his own part of the story.
Now, with the level of allegations we're seeing coming to the fore, we've also seen another allegation from a former head of service, Mr. George Nwaike, who is saying that he also witnessed the exchange of money, which he says he does not know the entire sum, shortly before that bomb was set off on the Rivers Assembly complex. Do you think that with these allegations in the open, we need to see probably the DSS invite the parties and begin an investigation into the issue?
Yes, of course. I think the security operatives should try to step into the matter and investigate all the allegations that have been flown by the various parties to this conflict. Now, the former head of service claiming that he was there when the discussion was held, and then back of money exchange hand. I believe he had a smartphone. I believe with his position in the state then as the head of service, he will have access to the government house with his phone. Why didn't he video the back of money exchanging hand, or why didn't he snap the back of money exchanging hand? What evidence does he have to really say beyond the comments he has made in the public domain that, money exchange hand for the bombing of the State Assembly? If you do not have pictures, you do not have videos, you do not have recording of the conversation leading to the exchange of the money, then you can just come forward to
say something that cannot be verified. How do we verify that? Can he also, as the head of service, tell us which bank the money was taken from? Or can he also, as the head of service, tell us some of the details of the currencies that was exchanged hand, or maybe the number? If he should give evidence, concrete. Because look at what happened in Rivers State. What he's saying now can be likened to what happened with the state assembly members. 27 assembly members publicly on the floor of the Rivers State House of Assembly declared their defection from the PDP to the APC. That haven't happened. They went on social media and also put it out there with the flag of the APC that they have defected. They did everything to the extent that they also organized events, and you have APC members accepting and bringing them into the fold of the APC. But then the Supreme Court and other courts are judging to say that no, they never defected. So even with this overwhelming evidence, the court is still saying that you have not been able to prove your case beyond all reasonable doubt. And that is the reason why they are still reinstated, they are still accepted as members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. So if all of this is happening, I think that if you want to raise allegation to say that, money exchange hand for the bombing of the State Assembly, you must be able to come out with evidence. So if there is no full evidence coming out from the head of service on how much exchange hands, who collected the money, or video, picture, all of this, I think we should just dismiss, that claim, because we all know he crossed from here to Abuja to a very large extent, and I believe that even his wife said that something may have happened, he may have been kidnapped and stuff like that. He came forward to tell the wife that I'm fine. So all of this put together, there is something fishy about some of the things that are happening. I am not taking side with either the governor or the State Assembly or the State Administrator or anybody. As an advocate, I stand in the middle and I ensure that I analyze my issues objectively to make sure that those who are parties to it will be able to know the things they need to do for people to really get to know where we are going to. So let the former head of service come forward with evidence beyond just verbal saying that I saw it. Because what he said, I can also say it, that I was there. But the point is that, can you go beyond the words you have given out to present evidence that this is what I actually saw? So he needs to go beyond that and provide evidence. Otherwise, I will say that if evidence cannot be provided and security operatives cannot also lay hand on anything, then there is no need to take what he has said to be very correct, because there is no evidence to back it up.
Now, talking about this evidence and how consequential it is in all the allegations we're seeing in River State,
you have
there are more
1 minute
insinuations
remaining
as well as it concerns the 2027 positions with the APC's interest in River State. I don't know if you've seen a suit that is alleged to have been instituted at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt, summoning the president and the sole administrator over this potential claim of the APC in Rivers.
Sorry, I didn't get that right.
The insinuation that APC is looking to grab River State in 2027.
Yeah, definitely. This is politics. And River State, as it is nicknamed, is the treasure base of the nation. And whoever is in charge of the country as president must have River State align with the center. But then, when the current president was the sitting governor of Lagos State during the era of former President Olusegun Obasanjo as the president of Nigeria, Lagos State was automatically in the AG.
Your call credit has been...
Well, we'd look to reconnect to Dr. Fyneface following interruptions in that conversation, but it's still on this discussion as to the insinuations, allegations being thrown across the table from different quarters. Having listened to Dr. Fyneface, he says a lot of persons are also hinting that the suspended governor, Siminalayi Fubara, is running a shallow government in River State. And this is off the back of the Muslim community that paid the suspended governor a visit to mark the Eid el-Fitr celebrations, at which the governor made certain comments that are being viewed in light of the shallow government ideology. Now, let's rejoin Dr. Fyneface to pick up from where he left off.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Doctor, welcome back. Thanks for rejoining us on the conversation.
All right, thank you very much. So I was talking about the fact that at some point in this country, we had the current sitting president of Nigeria in Lagos as the governor of Lagos State. And at that time, Lagos was under AD, which is where today's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sitting as the governor. And the center was the PDP. And there was always loggerheads with the sitting governor in Lagos State, because effort by the central government to bring Lagos into the PDP to run with it never worked. And the sitting governor and president today stood his ground, and he led for the 8 years he was in office. That never happened. So
what you have now in Rivers State has a lot of connection with the 2027 general elections, because the center wants to control. Remember what happened in 2023 in Rivers State. Generally speaking, the election went peacefully at some point because the FCT minister, lost the primaries at the PDP convention in Abuja, and he wasn't in tune with the person that the ticket was given, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. He came back to the state and took a decision to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he said his reason for supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was because the presidency should be zoned to the south now. So since he didn't get the ticket to run as the southern president on the party's platform, the PDP platform, he decided to support an APC candidate on the other side from the south. And today, that's his permutation worked, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu won as the president of Nigeria. And then you have him today being compensated with the position of the FCT minister, and he's working assiduously. And Mr. President loves him, and he's doing everything he can to ensure that Mr. President gets whatever he wants, especially from the areas that he has control over. So whatever you see here has a lot to do with the 2027 general election, because in Rivers State today, we have the PDP in charge because Governor Sim Fubara is still paying his allegiance and is still a member of the PDP. And then at the center, you have APC, and then Mr. FCT minister, who has been working with Mr. President, have said that he have been dismantling some institutions, even relating to the PDP, that he is a part of. So putting all of this together, you will see that they want to take control of the politics in Rivers State and in Rivers State in 2027, so that they can also have a free ride. So some of these things, politics from what is currently happening.
Well, let's talk more on this challenge with the structures being dismantled and the role of Fubara in the local government elections that have somewhat now been annulled. It was also with the fact that many said he moved structures of the PDP into a party that won across almost all the polls. Is that not some of the views that people are accusing the FCT minister of also playing anti-party in the FCT with the APC as well? How do you adjust between some of these anti-party allegations that have been leveled against both of them?
Yeah, I think a lot of these anti-party activities are going on. And I must say that to a very large extent, we have seen a system whereby the FCT minister seems to be above principalities and powers. The PDP cannot suspend him. He has challenged them before that whoever can suspend him should suspend him, because what he has
Hello, Dr. Fyneface. Although, connection there again has left us in the hang whilst he was looking to make a huge point. But it's almost certain that these political conversations with projections ahead of the next election cycle in 2027 have both the suspended governor being accused of anti-party activities in the local government elections and the FCT minister also being accused of romance with the APC at the detriment of his party, the PDP. Dr. Fyneface, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, sorry, pick up from where you left off.
Yeah, so I was saying that the FCT minister seems to be beyond principalities and powers, because even the people in the PDP, where they alleged him to have been involved in some anti-party activities, have found it very difficult and challenging to suspend him. And he has also challenged them, if you can suspend me. And they can't. And the reason why it is difficult for the PDP to suspend the FCT minister is because he has been funding their activities, supporting their activities. At some point in this country, when we had the issue of the former spokesman of the PDP, being challenged in court and incarcerated and what have you, it was only the governor of Rivers State at the time, the FCT minister today, that was speaking and making things to work in this country for the PDP. So he has paid his dues in the PDP, and those who are within the PDP for today are finding it very difficult to, suspend him and disgrace him, having contributed immensely to the development of the party. So what you currently see is a situation whereby, despite the anti-party activities that is very, very glaring that is happening from the 2023 general election to what is currently happening, you will also see that it's difficult for them to, suspend him. So if you look at the local government election in Rivers State, there was a lot of issues before the election came forward. And then after it happened, there was also a lot of issues of dismantling structures and some of those crises that ensued at the time. And then you also heard what the president said when he visited, I think during the Salah holiday also, when he spoke with the FCT minister. He said he requested for him to be removed from, TSA, so that he can develop Abuja, and he's trying his best. But he told him that if you tilt more towards making sure that the PDP have a stronger hand in Abuja, then you will lose your job. But if you work for the success of the APC, then you are going to retain your job, opposite as it should be. And that is what we have. You can see the FCT minister is performing exceedingly well in Abuja, and his excellent performance is pleasing Mr. President. And that is why Mr. President believes that in the next election or whatever, if it's the local government election in the FCT, that the APC is going to win because of the excellent performance of the FCT minister. So all of this thing has to do with politics. So there's a mixture and combination of politics and governance by every strata of society, including the FCT and Mr. President, in whatever they do. Because every politician, whenever there is an election they have won, as they get into office, the next thing you hear from them is next election. They begin to work towards next election, building blocks towards next election. So that is what is happening. Everything you see today is towards the 2027 general election. And you cannot win the election without having the grassroots, which is the local government election system across the 774 local government areas of the country.
Now, in the FCT, with this arrangement and the dare from the FCT minister to his party, the PDP, one would also wonder, why not just cross carpet already and join the APC?
Yeah, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't just cross carpet. He may have been able to cross carpet, but look at this. Let me tell you, let me speak in a core political terms here. What the FCT minister is doing is something that politicians will call a mole in the PDP. It's like a mole in the PDP. It's like a lock in the wheel of the PDP. If he cross carpets or defects to the APC, he will only concentrate on the APC. But now that one leg is in the PDP, one leg is in the APC, he is there to ensure the total destabilization of the PDP, either in favor of the PDP, in terms of supporting them, or distracting them for the PDP, for the APC. So all of these things are there. It's very, very clear. And the PDP, they know quite well that based on the support he has given and the fact that he continues to confess of being a PDP member, and he's still a card-carrying member of the PDP, he will continue to have his way. But then I believe strongly that everybody knows that a lot of his activities and antecedents is not generally in favor of the PDP. I put it clearly that if the FCT minister, after losing the presidential primaries in Abuja to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, if he has thrown his weight behind the party's presidential candidate, they may have won the election. But he didn't. He turned his back on the Atiku Abubakar and his party, and he supported President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the APC platform, which wasn't his party, and he emerged from he won River State plus other areas that he supported, because nobody can take it from the FCT minister that he is maybe a political fiddle. He is a force to reckon with. He's someone that if he's supporting you, he supports you with both his contacts and his resources to ensure that he achieves what he wants to achieve. If you look at his political antecedent, you will see that the FCT minister has not really lost in any political battle. He always wins the battle. So for that reason, Mr. President identified that particular aspect of this boy, like he calls him sometimes, and is giving him that support to ensure that he stands with him. And the FCT minister knows quite well that if he moves, defects fully to the APC, he may give some time to the PDP to maybe recuperate ahead of the election. But standing here and there as currently is, he knows what he's doing, and they are all political strategies to ensure that wherever he wants to go to, if tomorrow something happens in the APC that wants to keep him in the APC, he will move to the APC. And one leg in the PDP, if something happens in the PDP that he wants to stay there, he will stay there. I'm a member of the PDP. So all of these are political strategies to ensure that no government comes in place at the center, and he will lose as long as he's still strong to work and be part of the political process in Nigeria.
Well, Dr. Fyneface, very well said. I don't know if you recall sometime 2017, 2018, whilst the FCC minister was still governor of Rivers State, and there were commissioning of projects by the vice president, Professor Osibanjo at the time, and also present was Prime Minister of Niger Delta, who is now the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. There was an open taunt from both the FCT minister and the SP as a then to each other, noting that the Senate President had decamped and defected from the PDP to the APC and was looking to woo him at the time. He openly told everyone that the APC was not the party to deal with. He even used certain adages using diseases to explain which was better. What do you think has changed between now and then in terms of this interest that he's now wholeheartedly campaigning for the APC to win the next election in 2027?
I think that is Nigerian politicians for you. In Nigerian political process, there is total lack of ideology. Those who are involved in it, they don't have ideology. They don't pursue any ideology. They can sleep as PDP, wake up as APC, sleep as AD, wake up as Labour Party. That is what you have in the Nigerian political process. They do not run politics with integrity. There is total lack of politics with integrity in Nigeria, and that is what you have. So all of these things, you should expect it. All that they are concerned with is how to ensure that their interest is protected, and they do whatever they want to do. Not only Akpabio, or even the former governor of Rivers and the FCT minister that was talking about them. Even the former governor of Rivers State, Right Honorable Chibike Rotimi Amechi, at some point said that it is only native doctors that carry broom. But at some point in time, he joined the same people to become native doctor and started carrying broom as APC member. So all of these things happen. All they are targeting is to look at the political signal, look at where it is tilting towards, and then they move without remembering any of the things they have said, because there is no integrity in politics. And then they move towards that direction and then continue to be relevant in the political process. So you should expect a lot of these things happening. We are even getting a lot of rumors of some people even trying to defect to the APC. They have denigrated over time. You know, a lot of these things are happening. And ahead of 2027, you are still going to have a lot of people defecting to the APC, because as we speak today in Nigeria, the Labour Party is not there. A lot of people thought that the third force that could change the political landscape in Nigeria was the Labour Party. But today it has been denigrated with a lot of internal crisis and all of that. And then the second major opposition party in the the number one opposition party in the country, talking about the PDP, is also having a lot of political crisis. And also recently, its headquarters in Abuja has been, the CFO has been revoked by the FCT minister for not keeping to the payment of their bills and all of that. So the party is being destabilized. And as we speak, the only party that is still very strong in the country is the APC, and that's still in Nigeria because a one-party system. So if election is conducted today in Nigeria, without missing words, the APC will still win at the presidential at the presidency, because they are the only viable party as we currently speak. A lot of other parties are having a lot of issues that cannot even make them win one clear, geopolitical zone in the country. So all of this put together will tell you that they know what they are doing and where they are going. And a lot of things that they have said, they swallow it, drink water on it, or take some beer on it, and then they go and relax, wait for the next person to support, and they move on. So some of the things you are seeing is what should be expected in a political system without political ideology. So you have a lot of political prostitutes in Nigeria, whereby they move from one party to the other just to ensure that their political interest is protected.
Now let's also talk about Fubara's role in last year's local government elections. Although it's going to have to be rescheduled and redone, the PDP somewhat announced a boycott of that election, whilst there were allegations that Fubara was fronting APP as a defunct angle of his new political structure. What's the position of Fubara and the APP vis-a-vis his loyalty to PDP in Rivers State?
Yeah, what was happening at the time in Rivers State was that, the PDP as a party, where Governor Fubara belonged, we are giving him some issues. And ahead of the election, haven't not allowed the sitting council chairman to remain in office using the amended law by the Martin Samewule-led House of Assembly that extended the tenure by 6 months. And then they saw that the governor was bent on conducting election. So what the PDP did to destabilize the governor was to announce the boycott and refusal of the PDP to participate in the local government election. So when they believed that was going to happen, and they have made that comment, it means that there was nobody coming from the PDP, which is his party, to contest the election. So the governor decided to be free, and then those who wanted to contest the election decided to defect. Did I say defect, or they just crossed from, the PDP to, Action People's Party, APP, and a lot of them, all that were in PDP, took tickets in APP, and then they contested the election, and they won, and they were sworn into office, despite the crisis associated with that election. So in that case, you do not have to blame the governor to have associated himself with APP and not PDP, because his party refused to, participate in the election. And there is a Supreme Court judgment that was staring at him that election must be conducted within the next 90 days so that allocation can be released to the local government area. And he never wanted his state to lose in that process. So he allowed those people who wanted to contest. So I don't think anybody should blame the governor to have associated himself with the APP, because his party refused to participate, and he wanted to ensure the implementation and obeyance of the Supreme Court judgment to conduct election within 90 days. So that is what happened. So nobody should see him as romancing with that. But if at the end of the day, and he wanted to contest election, and his party PDP also refuses to give him ticket for 2027, he may have also decided to pinch tent with the APP and then contest on that platform and see if he wins or not, because the power of who wins or who loses lies with the people, the electorate, who would decide the fate of every politician at the ballot box.
Now, Dr. Fyneface, this is most likely what we would see going into 2027. I'm not a prophet of doom, but it may seem as though that Fubara's relationship with the PDP in Rivers State is almost irreparable. Do you think that the APP should begin to look to welcome him ahead of 2027 if he does have any ambition for a second term?
Yeah, I think they shouldn't start welcoming him, because the task before the governor right now is not about next election, but about being able to sustain his current tenure to a successful conclusion by 2027. And that's time that he will decide to see if he will pinch them with the APP or PDP or any other party will be decided around 2026, ahead of the 2027 general election.
But Dr. Fyneface, 6 months suspension totally renders 2025 almost, I don't want to use certain words, but almost kind of takes the wind out of his sail. 6 months out of 2025 in a build-up to 2026 and 2027. Do you think it's something that he could still manage?
Yeah, he will still manage it. I think one of the interviews I recently granted, they were asking whether, the 6 months that the governor has lost as a result of the state of emergency declared should be given and added to his tenure to complete the 4 years constitutional term when returned to office. But I said, no, you can't eat your cake and have it back. It is the crisis that erupted as a result of their management of the state that led to the state of emergency that has not been declared. Whether it is legal or illegal, the 6 months are gone. Now, the challenge before the suspended governor is how he can return to office at the end of the 6 months, which we are not currently sure it might happen. Because Mr. President, in his nationwide broadcast suspending him and declaring the emergency, did say that the 6 months given to the sole administrator was an initial period, which means that if peace does not return to Rivers State and there are still bombing pipelines, a lot of things are still happening, which even the opposition can do just to ensure that the tenure of the sole administrator is extended and Fubara does not return to office. So what is only crying for now, I must say, is for him to return to office and then begin to manage his time ahead of 2026 and then ahead of 2027. But then he may have a sympathy vote if he contests the election, because a lot of people have had this situation whereby the FCT minister today completed his 8 years undistracted. An Equerry man. We also have Amechi that just left, completed 8 years undistracted. He's an Equerry man. And now he moved a bit to the jaw area. And now the 4 years is being distorted. So a lot of these things may give the suspended governor a kind of a sympathy vote if he contests the election in 2027 and then sees what he can do. So even as it is, even if he's kept out of office 2027, which I don't think is going to be possible, I still believe that if he seeks re-election through the ballot box, he may be given a sympathy vote if the election is allowed to be free and fair and the voice and votes of the people count at the ballots.
Dr. Fyneface, let's also look at the role of this local government structure, which caused some of the chaos and drama in the political scenes in Rivers State, as to how instrumental it would be in the 2027 election, noting that some of these structures were instituted by the FCT minister. Do you think that with the little display we saw in the last local government elections, which were annulled, and what the governor did with the APP, he can recreate it to his advantage going into 2027? Hello, Dr. Fyneface.
Yes, I can hear you. So I think basically, as we speak, what people are really talking about now is governance, especially under the sole administrator. The local government system in Rivers State, the council chairman being asked to leave office by the former governor before he was suspended. I think that was the first part of his implementation of the Supreme Court judgment, declaring the election that was conducted on August 5, 2024 to be illegal. So he has done that. So as we speak, is the head of administration that are taking charge of the local government area. And when the time comes, I also learned that the National Assembly has started considering the possibility of INEC conducting local government election. If that comes into view before the end of the 6 months sole administrative period in Rivers State, an election is to be conducted, we will not be able to know whether it is INEC that is going to conduct the election or still the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission that is going to conduct the election. When that happens, I believe that the two parties to the crisis in Rivers State, may decide to see how each of them will grab the various local government areas in the state and see who wins. We have 23 local government areas in Rivers State, and all the parties have loyalists in some of these areas. So when the time comes, we'll see those who will pick the form and those who will be supported and those who will win the election. But I think it's going to be more competitive, and it may also be more crisis prone, because there are a lot of contenders to the local government system in Rivers State, because they are all aware that the local government administration in the state, where you have a sitting council chairman that receives direct allocation, will determine who wins the election in that local government area. Because apart from the resources you send to support the election in that local government area, the sitting chairman, loyal to one of the leaders in the political crisis, we also put in his money, including the people's money from the council area, to ensure that his principal and the person is loyal to wins the election, so that we continue to stay in power. Because if you make any mistake in politics, you stay out of it for 4 years until the next person comes in. So they all know what they are doing to grab the soul of the council areas in Rivers State among the two parties, so that they can continue to be relevant in the political process. So when the election time comes, we'll see the candidate that will pick the party, and we'll be able to determine those who are going to win. There was a time in this country that the moment you pick a particular political party's ticket, we know that you are the next winner. A time also changed that when you pick the party's ticket, you cannot determine that you are the winner until after the election. So all of these dynamics are in the mix, and we are going to look at it ahead of the election at the local government areas when the time is set. The Rivers Independent Electoral Commission had already fixed August 2025 as the time to conduct the election before all of these crises came in. And with the suspension of all political appointees in the state, which also affected the chairman of the Rivers Independent Electoral Commission, even if they are in court with the State Assembly already suspended because he refused to honor its 48 hours ultimatum for him to appear. I believe that all of these issues needs to be addressed before we can talk about local government election in Rivers State. So predictively, I will say that local government election in Rivers State may not happen in 2025.
Well, it's a good prediction. We'll look at time and find out how that prediction goes. I would like to get your last prediction on the show before we wrap up. And it's on a prediction on the possibility of a reconciliatory committee to somewhat amend the broken down political relationship between a godfather and his godson.
Yeah, having a committee set up for the reconciliation between the godfather and the godson. They may try their best, but I do not see their best yielding any fruit, because we've had a lot of people intervening in the past. Those who were godfathers to the godfathers have intervened. It didn't work. Mr. President intervened. It didn't work. All efforts were put in place, and it didn't work. So I don't see any new reconciliatory committee being able to make any change. What has taken over the entire political process and issues between the godfather and the godson is the law, which is where the Supreme Court has stepped in. So whatever the Supreme Court has pronounced is the path to go at this point in time. And I do not think that any political solution is going to address this issue at this point in time, because we have gone beyond that level. And as it is, those who are fighting the suspended governor, all they just want is just one thing: to remove him from office. And whatever means they will use to achieve that is what they are pursuing. And the reason why the reconciliatory committee may not also work is that neither Fubara nor the FCT minister are ready to tell the public the truth and the real reason why they are fighting. They are not ready to say it. That is their core secret that both of them will live with or die with. So they don't want to say it. And unless you address the matter from the roots, you cannot be able to address that issue. So if the FCT governor, governor, he has said it before, like a governor there, and then the suspended governor of Rivers State are not ready to tell the public or tell the committee the actual reason why the crisis erupted, then they are not going to arrive at any peace point in the entire peace process. So what you are seeing now is just the beginning of more that are to come. Because if at the end of this 9 months, by September, the sole administrator is taken out and Governor Fubara is returned, the assembly will return and start from where they stopped to try to impeach the governor.
And that is what the Constitution says, and you cannot stop it. It's their constitutional responsibility they have to perform. If the governor has been found to conduct, get involved in any misconduct, then they have to carry their constitutional responsibility. So the crisis is far from over. So the suspension you currently have in place, there is a tendency that if there are more crises, it may either return or the governor may be removed. Look at what we have here today is that the impeachment notice that was served on suspended Governor Fubara, you will see that it was served on the governor and his deputy. And when the governor and his deputy leaves office, who is the next governor? Is the State Assembly Speaker. So the person that is pushing the impeachment notice has already seen himself as the next governor of the state. So that is why you will see that process continue. Who doesn't want to become governor? So that is what you see. So the political crisis is far from being over. We'll all watch and see how it pans out in the days ahead.
Well, Dr. Fyneface, thank you for taking our time to make this conversation worthwhile. We appreciate you and enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.